21 biggest lies about Donald Trump and you. Mark Twain once said that there are three kinds of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. He was right for his time, but today we're inundated with a fourth kind of lie, the kind of lie told about Donald Trump and you. Strap in tight because we got a rockin' and rollin' Rob Maness Show today. Our public square is filled with volley after volley of falsehoods that the left and its pseudo-conservative allies fire at the president and his supporters every day. There's no longer any argument or reasoned discussion, just the lies. The editorial pages, the airwaves, and social media are all filled with hyperbolic accusations, making a scorched earth yucca flat out of rational discourse. Crank your masochism meter to high and turn on MSNBC. Listen to the self-congratulatory panels populated with third-tier guests whose diverse views range from Donald Trump is Hitler too to Donald Trump is the Antichrist without the upside. It's all baloney all the time. And it's getting worse, folks. Lies have always been a part of politics, but today, defamation has replaced actual debate. It's almost quaint to see someone offer a coherent, thoughtful argument instead of spewing a spray of cheesy slanders. When was the last time you heard someone provide a detailed, pointed critique of Donald Trump's policies? Not of his character or his alleged personal failings and peccadillos, but his policies. Does this all sound familiar to you? Well, of course it does, because all we have to do is listen for 60 seconds on any TV, radio, or social media broadcast channel to hear them incessantly. You hear them every day, and they're not just about Donald Trump because he's a politician. They're talking about you and me simply because we love America. That's right. If you love America, you are a target, and a really big one. That's why today's guest wrote his latest book, The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump and You, and we are pleased to dedicate this show to promoting the book. Please welcome our friend and American patriot, retired U.S. Army colonel and attorney extraordinaire and author, Kurt Schlichter, back to the Rob Maness Show.
Hey, got a copy of the book.
There you go. There's a copy of the book. I was just about to ask you to hold that up. Thanks for doing this. And
That's okay.
Just so you know, I'm a rookie at this. So this is my first book promotional show. And I'm honored to get to do it for your book. And this book is fantastic, Colonel Schlichter. But first, we're going to take 45 seconds and make fun of the Navy real quick. What do you have to say about the Bonhomme Richard?
Oh, my gosh. My dad was actually on one of those kinds of ships back when they picked up Alan Shepard. He was on the Lake Champlain.
Yeah.
So he's very familiar with those. And I got to say, this is the third accident that's taken a capital ship out of the game in about 2 years. That's 1% of that's over 1% of our Navy because of boneheaded maneuvers. And I have a feeling what's going to happen. It's going to come back to be a bonehead maneuver because ships rarely burst into flame because people are following all their procedures and doing smart stuff. I keep saying that our military is in crisis. We pick on the Navy. I wish I could say the Army wasn't. But after some of the disgraceful politicization I've seen in the last few weeks from my own Army, joining in with leftist fads, I am what's the right word? I'm not particularly thrilled with the state of our readiness. I worry greatly that our young troopers are going to pay the price.
They are paying the price, and my Air Force, my beloved Air Force, and my dad's beloved Air Force, and my brother's beloved Air Force, and my son, who's an NCO, in the Air Force today is also taking on the political fads. And wait till I do the program about that training from the United States Air Force. Your jaw will drop, and you'll be not thrilled, and you'll actually be angry when you see what I've found out so far.
I'm already on the way. That's why we need a second term, because we pretty much need to fire everyone over 06 and invite a very few of them back.
Exactly. And that includes the civilian appointees too. I'm very disappointed in my Harvard classmate, Mark Esper, who I know is a good person, but has fallen into this political mode. And I don't know what he's up to. Looks like he's trying to save his skin and the skin of somebody else maybe, but it's over. It's over, man, and we're going to have to make some big changes and get this president a second term. And I'm not going to make light of the Navy's disaster after disaster after disaster, but dang, am I concerned about the United States Navy. I mean, they can't drive ships without hitting each other or hitting other ships. You had the mess with the Teddy Roosevelt carrier captain, totally mishandled, regardless of what you think of him. Totally mishandled by the leadership. And now this, I mean, it's just tragic. And I'm a Navy War College graduate. Go Navy. I can do that because I'm not an Army guy. Anyway, so it's a serious issue, even though we're kind of making, inter-service rivalry.
But still. Look, we know how this game goes. America, unfortunately, has a tradition of paying in blood for the failure to prepare during peacetime.
Absolutely.
And look, everybody knows how this game ends. So why don't we skip over the, Transsexual Appreciation Month and yet another set of mandatory hugging and kissing training, and focus on deterring the enemy, and if not deterring them, destroying them. Maybe if we did that and learning the basic skills to do it. If you read the after-action reports, as I did, on what happened on the Navy ships, and although the Schlichters are a Navy family, I don't know a destroyer from a tugboat, frankly, but I do know a little about leadership and looking at the leadership failures. Some of which were letting people go by because they were afraid to take a stand, because someone might say, oh, well, you're just picking on this person of this race or gender or sex. Well, when the ocean, when a cargo ship rams into your destroyer and the water's flowing in, the water is going to drown everybody. It doesn't care where your great-great-grandfather came from.
That's right.
Take care of your damn troops.
Exactly. Take care of your troops, lead, or get the hell out and let others step up, because there's 10 for every one of you out there that is just as qualified. Yeah,
there are plenty of great people out there. Yeah. I had a small bit of happiness, a little bit of optimism when I saw that Vindman was retiring.
Me too.
Or I call him Lieutenant Colonel Bratwurst, because I just imagine if I was a brigade commander and he waddled into my office and I said, wait a minute, you want me to put you in front of my troops? They will eat you alive and they will be stuffed.
And he deserved to be eaten alive. I can't believe the Army allowed him to get that physically out of shape,
Well,
it's unbelievable.
He was away from things, and I how some people play, how certain people play games. But the good thing was he complained, well, my mentors were telling me that I'd have to go take a rehabilitation tour before I got promoted, and that may not even work. And I was like, well, yeah, you should go prove that you're not going to stab your boss in the back. Who the hell would want that guy?
You have to go prove that you'll follow lawful orders and set policy as described by the commanders and commander-in-chief.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you're going to shaft your boss and he's the president, well, if I'm an 06 or 07, why would I think that you wouldn't shaft me? Well,
you and I would have been gone a long time ago. But we would have been gone a long time ago if we had done what he did.
Just
unbelievable.
So fast, light speed.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I wanted this show to be light because I love the book. Thank you for the copy. The 21 Lies About Donald Trump and You.
Here's the book.
There's the book. Hold it up.
Get it. Go get it.
Go buy this book, folks. It's fantastic. So what I want to do, Kurt, is we got to go through the list, man, and give your best, your best one-liner about each of these, because for number one, I understand why it's number one without even asking you. Trump is a racist, and you're a bunch of bigots too. Really?
But remember everything they say about Trump, they're really saying about us, because they don't care about Trump. They
I know.
love Trump, man. He was a lot of fun. You could fly in his plane, and he had money. And there were always media there, and pretty girls. He was a lot of fun until he got in the way of their power. And they realized also that he had absolutely no respect for them. And nobody's been closer to the elite, who is no longer part of the elite, than Donald Trump. Donald Trump's seen him up close, and he's just got nothing but contempt for these people. And
rightly so.
Yes, but when they attack Trump, they're really attacking us. So when they say Trump is racist, they're saying we are. And I'm a lawyer. I kind of like facts. I know that leftists don't. In fact, one of the themes of the book is leftists don't like facts.
Exactly.
But Donald Trump is probably, even before he became president, maybe one of the 100 most photographed and videotaped people in all of history. I mean, the guy literally lived on camera, whether doing his TV show or at parties or, wherever. And you got to pity all those poor interns who got the job of screening the hundreds and thousands of hours of videotape of Donald Trump, hoping somewhere he'd sound like Democrat icon Richard Byrd.
Yep.
And he hasn't.
Yeah.
Because if he's like a super racist, like they say, eventually he's going to slip up. He's been on camera most of the last 30, 40 years. He's going to trip up somewhere along the line. Now, none of his minority friends caught him, because there's a million pictures of him with people of all races, gender, sex, whatever.
Getting awards from like the NAACP, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's super good at this, man. He fooled them.
Yeah.
Must be that unconscious racism we hear so much about.
Yeah, and I'm glad
you don't have to prove exists.
I'm glad you tagged that one right off, because 99.99% of Americans are not racist. They are not.
They just find
Donald Trump just represents them.
Yeah, Donald Trump, and the other thing is, if he's like this rich villain guy and he's in his volcano lair and he's stroking his cat looking for world domination, like he's going to take a break gotta take time away from making money and being with hot models from other continents. I'm going to go over and hassle these guys because of the race, because that's important to me. That's one of my priorities.
All right, here's a good one too, man. Trump is stupid, and you're a bunch of idiots too. Talk about us.
That's interesting. There are two takes on that. The first, if he's so stupid, how'd he beat the smartest woman in the world, and what's that make her and her supporters? The second thing is, and I kind of like this, because I'm actually looking I'm in my little compound, and over there is where the hot water heater is. Now, I had a guy come in and fix the hot water heater. You know why? Now, I've got 3 degrees. I've got one from UC San Diego, which they will tell you is a top 10 university. And I have another from Loyola Law School, which is one of the top 3 law schools in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got one from the Army War College, which, though it is a party war college, it's still a little
I think that's on the 4th rung of the 4-rung ladder, though, with Navy being at the top, Air Force kind of right there.
You have to dig a hole to find it. The point about my water heater, though, Rob, is I hired a guy to do it because I don't know how to put in a water heater.
Yeah.
All right? Now, that doesn't make... If I'm so damn smart, how come I can't do everything? And the answer is, I'm not so super smart. I'm just good at a few things. But the guy I hired for my water heater, he's good at things too. And why is his job not respected? Why do they look down on it? Why do they think he's lesser when they can't even they can't even survive without him?
Yep.
I would take, if everything goes to hell, what am I going to do? Get a professor of gender studies, or go out and find myself a good country boy to help me go trap and fish and hunt for food? Okay.
Yeah.
The professor knows how to eat kale. You don't know how to grow it.
You're right. You're right, man. Well, that's a nice segue into the next one. Trump hates LGBT people, and so do you. And I don't know how to pronounce this word properly, I'm sure. Cisgender monsters.
Ah, yes. Yeah, nobody hates gay people more than a guy who's a billionaire in New York and hangs around with models. Because there's absolutely no gay people involved in that.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's the least fabulous job out there besides concrete pouring and and auto repair. It's come on.
I just think he's like all the rest of most of the rest of us. Live and let live. Let's believe in freedom, but don't try to press your stuff on me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I talk about it in there. Folks who have a gender dysmorphia disorder, who truly believe they're caught in the wrong body, and they've got problems. And some are so desperate they resort to surgery and drugs to change their bodies. That's a real problem. Okay, these people are in real pain if they're that desperate to do something about it, that they would take that step. And we pity them. We feel bad for them. We don't want to hurt them. I don't want to compound their pain. The last thing I want to do is put another rock in that guy's rucksack or gals or whatever. I mean, they've got something hard, and I don't hate them. I want them to be better. I want them to be happy.
Yeah.
What I don't want them to do, what I don't want some misguided people to do, or nasty, is try and tell me that I have to say 2 + 2 is 5. Okay, if you're born a man, no matter what you cut off or what you inject, you're always going to be a man. Now, I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm not saying that because I want to hurt your feelings. In fact, I won't even bring up the subject unless you do, because I'm a polite guy and I don't want to bring up a subject that might make you uncomfortable or hurt your feelings. But on the other hand, you're not going to get me to lie to show that I'm submitting to make you feel better, which it doesn't. It doesn't actually make you feel better.
Right.
The purpose is really just to make you say something that's manifestly untrue, and in that way they begin the process of owning you. And I'm just not going to do it. And I think that's the way most of us feel.
Yep. It's just another version of bending the knee to totalitarianism.
And
we're not going to do that.
There's my knee. There's one. Look at that.
And that doesn't mean we don't empathize with people that have a disorder like that.
And then they'll get mad when you call it a disorder. And
dude,
you thought going and having surgery was the cure. No one has surgery unless they think it's a problem.
Let's give it the technical term then: gender dysphoria.
Gender dysphoria. I do not want to make your life any harder than it is. Please
all right, now
return the courtesy.
Now this next lie is an outright lie, but there's a lot of people, unfortunately, in this country that have lost their minds over it, including those in the Justice Center. Trump is Putin's pet, and so are you Russia-loving traitors, even if you're like Kurt and I that fought the frickin' Cold War and defeated the Soviet Congress.
Exactly. You were sitting in some bomber ready to drop a hot rock on a Semipalatinsk. Yeah. And I'm sitting over outside of Stuttgart in my fighting positions, and my orders are, hold on until we come and get you. Well, what if we can't hold on? Well, then you die. Oh, yeah. Okay. Seems fair.
Exactly.
So you and me, we're actually like getting lectured by these 24-year-old sociology majors who now write for Vox and can't do a push-up and don't know which end of an M16 goes bang. And if you said a B1, they'd be like, is that a vitamin? And I find it particularly galling, particularly when it's the one that's one of the most, there's like easy objective evidence. You can like pressure people to increase NATO, sanctions on the Russian, opposed Nord Stream pipeline, killed a bunch of Russians in Syria. And there's a cool part in there where I just I describe a combined arms defense of a fortified position against essentially a motor rifle battalion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's awesome. Kind of a fun one. That brings it all back home.
Wait a minute. Those are facts of what actually Donald Trump is doing and Americans are doing. Okay. All right. Here's another good one. Trump is literally a Nazi, and so are you goose-stepping stormtrooper people like me. What?
Well, as I like to point out, when he invades Poland, then you can tell me he's a Nazi. He is literally not a Nazi. Yeah. He literally has nothing to do with Nazis. Let's start with, there's no one out there saying Heil Trump.
Nope. Matter of fact, they're all out there saying, everything from dump Trump, kill Trump, vote him out, whatever, but they're not saying
Kyle's
how.
not
Trump.
one of them. Nor is he asking people to. There is no Trump youth out there. No one's reading. No one's confusing Art of the Deal with Mein Kampf. As far as I know, he has yet to send anybody to any camps. In fact, he's also a president who has not invaded any places. The first one since Jimmy Carter. And that lie will come up later, too.
Yeah, and he's also been adamantly opposed and called for public opposition against the Chinese and their concentration camps that they're using.
He's not a very good Nazi, Rob.
He just isn't a very good one. All right, here's another good one.
And really, does Trump strike you as a guy who's like super disciplined and really committed to an ideology?
No, he's not
like go and invade Russia.
That's what's driving the nuts because he's not committed to an ideology. He's just a guy that loves his country and wants to do good things.
Exactly. So not literally a Nazi.
Yeah. All right. Trump is totally corrupt, and you don't care. Now, if I thought he was corrupt, I would care. I think I'm an average American.
Well, look, the guy's kind of in a microscope, right? And if you wanted to, you might be able to find some actual corruption. But instead, we get things like, they're making bomber pilots use his, when they're crossing the ocean, use his hotel in Ireland. Yeah, I'm
sure none of those guys actually selected that because they wanted to stay there.
Well, it's always nice to have that 24-year-old Vox guy weigh in on TDY procedures.
Yeah,
exactly. For overnights by Air Force in transit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
That's all right, man. God's got thunder and lightning going on over my shoulder, so we're good. I like dogs.
Hey,
all right.
Hey!
All right, here's our favorite.
Blower. Lighten up, dog.
Here's our favorite. This is why your dog's barking. Trump is a warmonger, and so are all you bloodthirsty monsters. Now, I think that you and I are pretty much opposed to war from a philosophical perspective, unless it's that task that absolutely has to be done as a last resort, right?
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
It's again. What's he invaded? He hasn't invaded anything. First guy since Jimmy Carter not to start a war. I mean, even Obama started one. Well, he invaded Libya, and boy, that worked out great.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to really fight against systemic racism, maybe you should sign up and go fight in a country where they literally have slave markets.
And they literally kill people for being gay by throwing them off of buildings and hanging them from cranes and those kind of things.
That's not good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And Trump is not a warmonger. Trump sees it kind of like us. If it's worth doing, it's worth winning. If it's not worth winning, it's not worth doing. Here's my test. If I can go to a mom's house in Omaha to do a death notification on her son from the airborne and can explain why he died and why it was worth it for the country, then it's okay. And if I can't pull that off, then maybe we ought to put that kid in that position.
Exactly,
because he'll do whatever we ask.
Exactly. And the only thing I'm disappointed with him on that front is that we're not out of Afghanistan yet.
I'd like to get out of there too.
I'd like to get out. I'm pleased with how he dealt with ISIS and the leeway, and giving orders to the commanders and giving them a chance to do their job. But Afghanistan, we got to get at it. We got to get out of there. It's over.
And I understand the Afghans will have a tough fight, but you know what? It's their fight, and after 20 years, if they can't take it on, well, then I don't think they're trying hard enough, and they don't really want it enough.
Right.
And
that's right.
I don't see why their freedom needs to be more important to us than to them.
It's not. It's time to come on home. All right. So, Trump hates immigrants. Oh,
that's why he married
goodness.
One. And that's another thing. That's like really good evidence.
Yeah, he married one.
I married one. And I remember being, I'll be on Twitter and I'll watch these guys. You hate Latin Americans and immigrants. And I'm like, well, what a surprise. I married one. And they're like, that doesn't matter. And I'm like thinking, well, I'm a trial lawyer. I think that's pretty darn good evidence.
Absolutely.
You keep hearing the proverbial, some of my best friends are. And, if you're just saying that and it's not true, then it's not evidence. But if it is true, that's actually really good evidence that you're not racist, sexist, hating immigrants, whatever. That's like excellent evidence. You should go, oh, well, gosh, I'm glad to see that I was wrong in assessing you as hating immigrants. Phew. Thank you for providing me that important information. I have now changed my mind, and I will no longer be pursuing that particular line of defamation. Adios. and that's just not happening.
Here's the next one that's even better. Hold that book up.
Oh,
the next one is even better. It goes right along with the immigrants things. Trump hates women, even though he's married to one of the most beautiful women in the world, if not the most beautiful one.
Well, look,
and so do I, including women. My wife hates women because she's a
woman-hating woman. Well, as I point out, Donald Trump loves women. Yeah. Hot women, attractive women, beautiful women, sexy women, cute women. I joke, but the fact is, what
smart
evidence
women
is there? Smart women. What is evidence? I mean, what actual evidence is there? I know we shouldn't even bother asking for evidence because it's really simply about establishing a premise and then working back. Because Donald Trump is whatever is bad, and you just list whatever's bad, and that's supposed to prove it. But really, I mean, in what way has he said, well, I want to take voting rights away from them. I want to keep them from going to schools. They're not allowed to wear shoes anymore to keep them barefoot. They must remain pregnant. Well, if that's it, well, great. Not killing babies, I can be down with that. And of course, 50% of babies are women or future.
Yeah.
So okay. It's just lazy and dumb.
That's a great way to put it. This one is too. Trump is not a real conservative, and neither are you, no matter what you really think.
Well, that has the roots of an interesting argument, but it's been co-opted by the cruise shilling hacks of Ahoy, the Bill Kristol losers, bulwark writers, the David French, the guy who actually manages to give Jags a worse name. And I mean, you could have a discussion over whether he's a traditional conservative. I think the answer is no. He's certainly not somebody who subscribed to the National Review or the Weekly Standard before it hit an ice cube and sank. But what you can't argue with is his record. And his record is a record of conservative governance, unparalleled since Ronald Reagan. And you could argue it's more conservative than Ronald Reagan.
I think you're right there. The spending is what it is based on the circumstances you face, unfortunately. And all right, Trump hates the free press. So do you, media-hating beasties.
Well, first of all, what free press? Because I don't see one. I see a bunch of Democrat transcriptionists. A free press is supposed to be this unruly gaggle of differing voices, all challenging the powerful and challenging the establishment and holding it to account when it fails. And all I see is a bunch of propagandists for the liberal elite. So, kind of a trick question. He hates the mainstream media. Why? Because the mainstream media is well-deserving of hatred. Did you see today Bari Weiss, B-A-R-I?
You beat me to it. I was going to ask you what you thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, she resigned from the New York Times, and she is not conservative. She's actually kind of a center leftist, which makes her, essentially Attila the Hun in today's world. God, I wonder what you and I are to them. We're not even on their scale.
We're not allowed to exist.
They're just like this. What the hell? She quit because, it's just basically a little fascist regime in the New York Times. And if you look at it, it's kind of interesting. You and I were both commanders at pretty high levels. And I watched the editor there, and the editor runs an editorial by a senator, Tom Cotton.
Sure.
That represents about 60% of America, according to some polls. It's about, being more willing to use military force in suppressing these particular riots, which I thought was tactically wrong, but it's not a. But it's an argument that's well worth hearing. It's not crazy. It's not like, well, because the Illuminati lizard people that send me messages. No, it's not that. It's right in there, right? It's not crazy, but a bunch of whining little millennial types in the newsroom started going, I'm literally shaking because he wrote that. Writing that makes us unsafe. And they go to the editor. Now, imagine as a commander, some of your folks came to you with something along those lines. I don't know, but I think I would have boot to butt contact going. Well, actually, I'd probably have to hold the sergeant major back. Instead, this dude rolled over. Yeah. I mean, rolled over. And just, one of them lost their job. Now they pretty much promise never to write anything that upsets the little snowflakes in the newsroom again. And Barry Weiss basically pointed out that this is just a disgrace.
Yeah, it's a wonderfully written resignation letter by Miss Weiss, and everybody read it.
Well, she represents people who are in a very tough position. You see others like Andrew Sullivan is one of them, John Turley, Dershowitz, more or less kind of the traditional liberals who are figuring, wait, making an alliance with these leftists is bad. You ride that tiger, and you're hoping you can ride the tiger over the conservatives and chow down. But if you fall off, it's going to eat you. And in fact, because you're a softer target. Right? They shot the Mensheviks first. Yeah, it took them years to kill the Tsar's white forces.
Absolutely.
The Reds killed the guys handy, the soft ones. I thought this was going to be a democracy. Yeah, I'll bet you did.
Nazis did the same thing. The educated elite did the same thing with the Nazis, and eventually they ate them. They were the tiger that ate them, and that's the same thing's going to happen. It happens every time.
Yeah, and an interesting thing to point out, and I don't know if you ever served over in Germany. I had the distinct pleasure of being the first Schlichter there in 250 years, awesome. Probably the last for 250 years. Not a country I really dig, but when it went into World War II, right before it was the most educated and cultured country in the world, man for man. Educated, classical music, theory, lots of universities, and believe me, the Germans are really happy to tell you how sophisticated they were. And yet, these are the saps who fell for the bizarre anti-Semitic ravings of a house painting socialist from Austria.
Yep, absolutely. And he wasn't even a good house painter.
No, he's a crappy one. He's just a total hack. And it's our educated elite that's falling for the current totalitarian craze here.
Yeah, well, the good news is
totalitarianism will come down in America. It won't rise up like they claiming.
And there are enough Americans still that are armed and more every day that when we have to rise up to meet it, when it comes down, we're going to rise up to meet it. Nobody wants it, but we will defend ourselves.
I'm too old to live on my knees, and I have no desire to be anybody's serf. So
absolutely right, man. Hey, we're running out of time, Kurt. Hold the book up again. Hold the book up again. Tell people what the easiest way to get it is.
Go on Amazon and buy it. Say it's super simple. You go on Amazon and you buy it, and then my marketing people may release my family.
Outstanding, brother. Outstanding. Thank you for writing that book. Thank you for continuing to speak truth, even though people hate us for it. I started out in the media business as a follower of yours and some other folks, and now I consider you my mentors. And I just really appreciate you coming on and let us talk about the book. And God bless you. God bless America. And for all you folks out there feeling like the elites are going to come down with socialism, they might try that. They are trying that, but we're Americans. We'll take care of it. Well, I certainly am grateful for my colleague, retired Colonel Schlichter's willingness to be a guest on our show and letting us promote his new book, 21 Lies About Donald Trump and You. But just remember, folks, now's the time to stand up, to speak out, and make your voices heard. Because as the old saying goes, if they come for your neighbor and you don't say anything, or they come for your postman and you don't say anything, eventually they're going to come for you. This is the United States of America, and it's up to us to preserve this union, or it will disappear. Until next week, this is Rob Maness.